Hi everybody, welcome to today's co-video. Today is September 9th. I'm going to take off my mask and I just want to remind everybody we still need to wear masks. I got a lot to cover today. It's been a while and we got to get through some things here today. Just as what I always start with, my temperature today is 97.8, a little high for me, and Fahrenheit, and that's 36.6. I'm still not enough to have anything like a fever. So today's kind of a mixed bag in kind of information. There's good news and there's bad news. Let's start with the good. One of the good things is the numbers are kind of looking up, although I'm a very skeptical person, and I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop. I'm always looking for more information. But here is the Ohio alert map, and you can see we have 7 counties now, and as of September 3rd, which was the last time the data came out. We have 7 counties that are on red. Lorain has passed from red all the way to yellow. Bravo, Lorraine. We still have more to go, and we still have more to be careful of. And so now most of Northeast Ohio, by the way, is out of the red for now. Obviously, these things can change on a dime. Since I did my last co-video, which was, it seems like not very long ago. I did not do a co-video last week because it was the beginning of school and I had a lot going on with the teaching thing that I do, and I will tell you, we had 3 million more cases globally of SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, and the deaths are also creeping up. In the United States, we still seem to be holding. Although we just got through another holiday this week, we also have the opening of schools and all kinds of other things that make me very nervous, that will cause us to, potentially have a climb later. But knock on wood, so far we are in pretty good shape with respect to the U.S. cases. I was looking at the U.S. map this morning, and it reminded me of something. This is the U.S. map, and I'll remind you that the epidemic in the United States really started in 2 places. First of all, it started in the East Coast in a very big way, and to some extent the West Coast too, and that still goes on to this day. But the East Coast was more of where things got started. And I'll just remind you, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, those are major cities that welcome people from all over the world. So they're international kinds of cities. And that's where it first was. And then the epidemic kind of moved to the south. And now it seems to be moving to the Midwest. As you can see, this heat map here of the United States, the red colors indicate where cases are growing at a higher rate. White means there's few cases. Yellow means there's a smaller or falling number of cases. And you can see that this virus seems to be moving across the United States, and is hitting the Midwest right now, and is going to continue in that Midwest trajectory, going from East Coast to West Coast, and that's kind of moving from household to household, town to town, city to city, along the roads and the highways and the farmlands, and it reminds me a lot of another pandemic, and that is the 1918. This is the 1918 map. This is like the original map. I'm going to show you a different version of it that is more modernized. This is one, it's in black and white, because back in the day, that's when pandemics were. They were in black and white back in the day. I'm just kidding. But you'll notice if, let me just flip to the next slide. The next slide has it in light colors, but it shows you almost the exact same trajectory. The virus starts in the East Coast. I mean, the real hardcore East Coast, the corridor between Washington and Boston, and then it starts moving to the Midwest and then the South. It actually starts south, then Midwest, and then moves across the country. You can see this is color coded, where the darker colors on this color coded, the darker green colors indicate first, and lighter green indicates later. And so 1918 does not seem entirely different than 2020. It seems to be like we're having the same sort of progression of this particular virus. Of course, the big news today was the Oxford vaccine has been hopefully temporarily, but perhaps not, temporarily halted. And of course, those of us who are holding hopes for it are a little bit bummed out by this. This is a little bit of a setback. And the reason is because one of the people on the phase 3 trial became ill with an inflammatory disease. There is no way of knowing, or we're going to investigate thoroughly whether this particular event is tied to the vaccine. And if it is, and we can't figure out how to make that particular side effect go away, that vaccine will be done. And I know that's hard to take, and it could have been something that was going to happen anyways. But we definitely don't want to make a vaccine that's going to cause problems. We don't want to make a vaccine that's going to cause people to be sicker. We want a good vaccine. The good news is that the person who did become ill is being treated with anti-inflammatories, and I believe should make a complete recovery. But nonetheless, this was a big trial. There's about 30,000 people in it, in England, in the United States, in Brazil, so it is a little bit of bad news. But I will tell you this. There is a lot on the horizon. This is not the only one. Right now, there are 0 approved vaccines. There are 3 that are sort of early approval, although I've noticed that the Russians have walked back their vaccine, and I think that the international community has kind of scolded them for their grandstanding. And they're a little bit embarrassed by that from the what they call the Sputnik vaccine. So that one's backed down a little bit. It's sort of approved, but it's sort of also in phase 3 trials. So we'll let them have that. There are still 9 vaccines in phase 3. One of them is in trouble right now, but there are 9 other vaccines in phase 3. So I am hopeful for that. There are 14 total vaccines in phase 2 and 24 that are in some stage. So some sort of stage 1 or move beyond, which is the early safety trials in there. So we're working on it, and progress is being made. I have been at this for a number of years, and I will tell you, I've never seen this kind of progress. I've never seen things move so fast that as they are now. I want to finish up with one more story, and this came out of the New England Journal of Medicine. And early on, there was this massive amount of testing that went on in Iceland, and they tested a lot of people. They tested a lot of people by the PCR test, the nostrils swab, the pharynx swab, and they also are testing antibodies now. And the good news comes from the antibodies. The antibody testing that they have done indicate that there is antiviral antibodies that persist over months after diagnosis. So that's good news. So there seems to be some stable antibodies, and they have some capacity to neutralize. And so even if a person was re-exposed after the initial event, they would be somewhat protected, if not completely protected. They estimated a rather low death rate from this based on their data. And they also estimated that about 44% of individuals tested by quantitative PCR by the nasal swab or the pharynx swab tested negative. 44% were missed by the testing. So that is just something that is important. And the bottom just shows you a little cartoon about the fact that there are initial antibody responses, and then there's longer, more long-acting antibody responses that seem to be protective. This is we are making great progress. We still do absolutely 100% need to protect each other. I'm wearing a mask for you. I'm not wearing it. I'm wearing it for myself. Yes, I'm also wearing it for you. I will be getting a vaccine within the next month, and I will be getting a vaccine for myself. I will also be getting a vaccine, flu vaccine. I'm talking here. I'll also be getting a flu vaccine for you. To protect you, others. So we just need to all be good to each other and look for the people that are the helpers. And remember to be good to each other. Remember that we will seriously, we will survive this. That I'm confident of. And hopefully we can do this a lot better as well.